Hey guys, Dre here, back at it once again with a brand new video for you, and surprise, once again, back-to-back episodes of Dre TV in 2 separate days. Aren't you guys lucky? You guys are getting a nice fill-in before the new season starts, but this is kind of a breaking news kind of Dre TV style video because something big happened this morning, and it was in a statement released by McLaren, in saying that this morning that Fernando Alonso, their leading driver, or you could argue their leading driver at the team, will not, and I repeat, will not race at the Australian Grand Prix this weekend due to medical grounds. And it looks like the statement pretty much goes on to say that, you know, Fernando Alonso is fine, that, you know, neurologically he passed every test, and, you know, he is fit to be able to drive. But it seems that basically the doctors wanted to reduce the risk of second impact syndrome. For those that are unaware, in the first Barcelona test, Alonso had a rather nasty accident where, you know, the details were seemingly very confusing. You know, they seemed to think that maybe the high winds in the Barcelona area drifted Alonso off the track, and there was a lot of confusing and conflicting stories about Alonso's crash. You know, the possibility of electrocution was brought up, the possibility of him blacking out was brought up, you know, curious damage on the side of the car which ended up just being the shadow of the end plate. But, you know, it basically got the conspiracy theorists talking as to what possibly could have happened here, and how did Alonso end up having this very strange airlifted accident, because he crashed, they had to pull him out of the car, he was flown to the medical centre and then airlifted to hospital, which was, you know, bizarre. I mean, even though Alonso seemingly was, you know, largely okay for the most part, he was conscious, he was talking to people. You know, then the picture a couple of days later, you know, he was in hospital giving the thumbs up. And next thing you know, he was discharged from hospital, and, you know, everything seemed to be okay, and Ron Dennis was largely optimistic that he was going to be able to drive in Australia, but it was going to be the doctor's final say in the matter that was going to settle these things. Which just ends up making this whole deal a little bit confusing, so to speak. Bit of an issue of the whole thing. Basically, I suspect there's been some cover-ups going on here. And, you know, I'm not normally one to lean towards the side of conspiracy theorists. I don't like them in general. I get it a lot. I had it a lot last year when it was Hamilton versus Rosberg. Oh, you know, Hamilton's getting biased treatment at Mercedes, or Rosberg's getting biased treatment because he's the German guy in the German team, etc., etc. I've heard all of these before. So, I'm normally very dismissive of conspiracy theorists. On this one, though, I'm kind of leaning on their side on this one, because here's the thing. Concussions don't normally put you out for a month, because that's how long it's going to be between now and the Malaysian Grand Prix, assuming Alonso's going to be fit and healthy by then. And don't get me wrong, I'm very glad that the doctors are taking precautionary measures when it comes to this. I've spoken before in videos about how I feel that sports are largely very ignorant to the issue, and, you know, of concussions, and that sometimes sports don't do enough to guard against them, like in rugby, like in football, like in the NFL, where concussions are, you know, become a subject of controversy, and, you know, long-term brain damage is certainly becoming more of a prevalent thing in sport, in terms like that, boxing as well, mixed martial arts, etc. The subject's been brought up more often, which is good. And I'm glad that Alonso is taking some time out to make sure he's 110% before he's back in the car. I'm happy to hear that. But also, I have to sit down and wonder, was it more than just a concussion if he's out for a month? The last major story I can think of regarding a Formula 1 driver and a possible concussion was, I believe, Sergio Perez at Monaco 2011. The time where he basically spun it, I think, coming down the hill towards the chicane out of the tunnel. And I'm pretty sure he hit the side wall, and he suffered an almighty concussion when he hit the wall. And I think he missed the round after that. I think he missed the race, and I'm not sure if he missed Canada afterwards as well. I'll have to double check that one in the post edit. But essentially, Perez only missed the round when he got a concussion. Alonso's on the sideline for a month. That's pretty much 2 races, maybe even 3 races, depending on where the calendar would fall on these things, because this is the biggest F1 calendar we've seen ever. The season starts next weekend and finishes at the end of November. It's a big, big season. 20 races with a lot more gaps in between. So, I can't help but shake the feeling of, yeah, this is quite a confusing situation, because Ron Dennis was always optimistic. He seemed to struggle to be able to explain what a concussion even was. And, you know, he's not a doctor, and, you know, maybe he shouldn't be the one explaining these kind of things if that's the case. But it was certainly a thing, and the story overall just doesn't quite add up, in my opinion. We'll be talking about this more on the Motorsport 101 podcast as well, because we're filming a new episode tonight, so look forward to seeing that on iTunes and on the website harrison101.com tonight. So, you know, just prepare yourself for that one. That should be fun. But in the meantime, yeah, it's certainly a bit of a head scratcher. That's why I'm kind of making this video, to see what other people think on this one. Kevin Magnussen is coming in to drive for the team this weekend in Australia as well. So, you know, a good opportunity for Kevin. Keep himself relevant. You know, put himself in the shop window. I find the whole thing kind of ironic, considering the big McLaren driver debacle that they had for a little while. Like, okay, who's going to drive for him next year? You know, they've got Alonso, they've got Alonso on the way in. They've got Button, they've got Magnussen, they've got Van Dorn in the background, and now a season later, we're all going back to where we started last year with Button and Magnussen driving the car again. So it's a bit of a weird one. Obviously, I wish Alonso a speedy recovery. He seems fine for the most part, so I'm not sure why that's going. He does seem like he's okay, but the whole thing is a little bit confusing, and I'm not sure we'll ever know the full story behind that crash. Maybe if Alonso writes an autobiography one day or something, he can give the full picture as to what's going on. But overall, a bit of an eyebrow raiser, and a shame for Fernando. He's missing out, especially if he seems okay. I mean, the reasons why seem logical enough. Second impact syndrome is no joke. It can be life-threatening when it happens. The idea of a second big impact after just having a concussion, it can kill you. It has killed before. So I'm glad that the doctors are taking every possible precaution, but I can't help but raise an eyebrow and think there might be something a little bit more to it than that. This whole thing sounds like a Mickey Motions video when I'm talking about conspiracy theories and question marks and things like that. I don't like making videos like this. I like dealing with facts most of the time, but I must admit, even in my case, it is a bit of a head scratcher. But I'd love to hear what you guys have to say as usual. And yeah, until next time, I've been Harrison101. Top Gear review will be definitely on either Wednesday or Thursday, probably Thursday. But until then, thanks for understanding, sorry for the delay, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Sayonara.